Good morning, students. I am Dr.V.VIJI, Associate Professor, A.D.M.COLLEGE, NAGAPATTINAM. Today, I have to take the classical theory of employment. Here, the classical economists believed in the existence of full employment in the economy. To them, full employment was a normal situation, and any deviation from this regard as something abnormal according to Pigou. The tendency of the economic system is to automatically provide full employment in the labor market. When the demand and supply of labor are equal, employment in unemployment results from the rigidity in the wage structure and the interference in the working of free market system in the form of trade union legislation, minimum wage legislation, etc. Full employment existence when everybody who at the running rate of wages wishes to be employed. When everybody who at the running rate of wages wishes to be employed, those who are not prepared to work at the existing wage rate are not unemployed because they are voluntarily unemployed. Thus, full employment is a situation where there is no possibility of involuntary unemployment in the sense of that people. Here, prepared to work at the current wages rate, but they don't find work. The basis of the classical theory says law of market, which was carried forward by classical economists like Marshall and Pigou. They explained the determination of output and employment divided into individual markets for labor, goods and money. Each market involves a built-in equilibrium mechanism to ensure full employment in the economy. Now the theory based on so many assumptions, now we have to see some important assumption of this classical theory. The classical theory of output and employment is based on the following assumption. There is the existence of full employment without inflation. There is a laissez-faire capitalist economy without government interference. It is a closed economy without foreign trade. There is perfect competition in labor and product markets. Here we have to take labor or homogeneous characters. Total output of the economy is divided between consumption and investment. The quantity of money is given and money is only the medium of exchange. Here there is no block money at all. Wages and prices are perfectly flexible. There is perfect information on the part of all market participants. Money wages or real wages are directly related and proportional. Savings are automatically invested and equal between the two is brought about by the rate of interest. Capital stock and technical knowledge are given. The law of diminishing returns operates in production. It assumes long run. Explanation: given these assumptions, the determination of output and employment in the classical theory occurs in labor, goods and money markets in the economy. Say's law of market is the core of the classical theory of employment. And early 19th century, French economist J.P. Say enunciated the proportion that supply creates its own demand. Therefore, there cannot be general overproduction and the problem of unemployment in the economy. If there is general overproduction in the economy, then some laborers may be asked to leave their jobs. The problem of unemployment arises in the economy in the short run. In long run, the economy will automatically tend toward full employment when the demand and supply of goods become equal. When a producer produces goods and pays wage to workers. In turn, buy those goods in the market, thus the very act of supplying goods implies a demand for them. It is in this way that supply creates its own demand. Determination of output and employment. In the classical theory, Output and employment are determined by the production function and the demand for labor and the supply of labor in the economy. Given the capital stock, technical knowledge and other factors, a precious relation exists between total output and amount of employment, that is number of workers. This is shown in the form of the following production function. Here Q is equal to the function of K, T and N, where total output, it refers to Q, is a function of F, of capital stock is K, technical knowledge is T and the number of workers refers to N. Given K and T, the production function becomes Q is equal to function of N, which shows that output is a function of the number of workers. Output is an increasing function of the number of workers. Output increases as the employment of labor rise. But after a point when more workers are employed, diminishing marginal returns to labor stock. Here we have to take the diagrammatical explanation. Here vertical axis represents output, horizontal axis represents employment level. Here the curve is called employment function curve, that is Q is equal to function of N. Whenever the total output is increased from Q to Q3, the employment opportunity is also increased from N1 to N3. Where the curve Q is equal to function of N is the production function and the total output OQ1 corresponds to the full employment level NF. But when more workers NF, N2 are employed beyond the full employment level of output OQ1, the increase in output Q1, Q2 is less than the increase in employment NF, N2. Labor market equilibrium. In the labor market, the demand for labor and the supply of labor determine the level of output. The classical economists regard the demand for labor as the function of the real wage rate. Dn is equal to function of wage and price ratio, where Dn is equal to demand for labor, wage is equal to wage, W is equal to wage rate, P represents price level. Dividing wage rate by price level, we get the real wage rate W bar P. The demand for labor is a decreasing function of the real wage rate as shown by the downward slope curve. Here we have to take the diagrammatical explanation of this theory. Here horizontal axis represents employment level, vertical axis represents real wage rate. W bar P1, W bar P0, W bar P2. Here supply curve is there and demand curve is downward sloping curves. Here we have to take the equilibrium level. Here the total demand, that is equal to the supply of labor. Demand of labor, it is equal to supply of labor, it gives one equilibrium, that is called E. In this level, the real wage rate ratio is W bar P0. Here the level is, the employment level is full employment level. Sometimes it may be changed. Sometimes the supply of labor is greater than demand for labor. In that situation, the economy pays so much of unemployment level. Sometimes the demand of labor is greater than supply of labor. In that situation, excess demand is there. In figure 2, it is reducing the real wage rate that more workers can be employed. The supply of labor also depends on the real wage rate. N is equal to function of W bar P, where Sn is the supply of labor, but it is an increasing function of the real wage rate as shown by the upward sloping. It is by increasing the real wage rate that more workers can be employed when the Dn and Sn curves intersect at point E. The full employment level NF is determined at the equilibrium real wage rate. If the wage rate rises from WP0 to WP1, the supply of labor will be more than its demand by DS. Now at W bar P1 wage rate, DS workers will be involuntarily unemployed because the demand for labor WP ratio is less than their supply. With the competition among workers for work, they will be willing to accept a lower wage rate consequently. The wage rate will fall from WP1 to WP0. The supply of labor will fall and the demand for labor will rise. And the equilibrium point E will be restored along with the full employment level NF. On the contrary, if the wage rate falls from WP0 to WP2 level, the demand for labor is changed from WP2 to D1 will be more than its supply level. Competition by employers for workers will rise the wage rate from WP2 to WP0 and the equilibrium point E will be restored along with the full employment level N. Wage price flexibility. The classical economists believed that there was always full employment. In case of unemployment, a general cut in money wages would take the economy to the full employment level. This argument is based on the assumption that there is a direct and proportional relation between money wages and real wages. When money wages are reduced, they lead to reduction in cost of production and consequently to the lower prices of products. When prices fall, demand for products will increase and sales will be pushed up. Increased sales will necessitate the employment of more labor and ultimately full employment will be attained. Pigou explains the entire proportion in the equation N is equal to QY by wage rate. In this equation, N is the number of workers employed, Q is the fraction of income earned as wages, Y is the national income and W is the money wage rate. N can be increased by a reduction in W. The key to full employment is a reduction in money wage. When prices fall, with the reduction of money wage, real wage is also reduced in the same proportion. As explained above, the demand for labor is a decreasing function of the real wage rate if W is the money. P is the price of the product and MPN is the marginal product of labor. Then since MPN declines as employment increases, it follows that the level of employment increases as the real wage declines. This is explained in the below figure. In panel A, SN is the supply curve of labor and DN is the demand curve for labor. The interaction of the two curves at E shows the level of full employment, that is NF. And the real wage W bar P0, if the real wage rises to W bar P1, supply exceeds the demand for labor by SD and N1, N2. Workers are unemployed. It is only when the wage is reduced to W bar P0 that unemployment disappears and the level of full employment is attained. This is shown in panel B, where MPN is the marginal product of labor curve which slopes downwards as more labor is employed. Since every worker is paid wages equal to his marginal product, therefore the full employment level NF is reached when the wage rate falls from WP1 to WP0. Controversies with the fall in the wage from WP0 to WP2. The demand for labor increases more than its supply by S1D1. The workers demand higher wage. This leads to the rise in the wage from WP2 to WP0. And the full employment level NF is attained, then we have to see the goods market equilibrium. The goods market is in equilibrium when saving equal investment. At that point of time, total demand equals total supply and the economy is in a state of full employment. According to the classicalist, what is not spent in automatically. Saving must equal investment. If there is any divergence between the two, the equality is maintained through the mechanism of the rate of interest. To them, both saving and investment are the functions of the interest rate. where S is equal to saving, I is equal to investment, and R is equal to interest rate. To the classicalist, interest is a reward for saving. The saving must equal investment. If there is any divergence between the two, the equality is maintained through the mechanism of the rate of interest. Both saving and investment are the functions of interest rate, where S is equal to savings, I represents investment, and R represents interest rate. To the classicalist, interest is a reward for saving. The higher the rate of interest, the higher the saving, and the lower the investment. On the contrary, the lower the rate of interest, the higher the demand for investment fund, and lower the savings if at any given period investment exceeds savings, that is I is greater than S. The rate of interest will rise, savings will increase, and investment will decline till the two are equal at the full employment level. This is because saving is regarded as an increasing function of the interest rate and investment as a decreasing function of the rate of interest. Assuming interest rates are perfectly elastic, the mechanism of the equality between saving and investment is shown in the figure. Here, the diagrammatical explanation of the savings and investment equality. Here we have to take the horizontal axis represents capital, vertical axis represents interest rate, that is savings and investment. Here the saving curve, it is upward slope from the origin. Then the investment curve is, or the investment line is downward slope. Here both are intersect at one level. In this level it is called the equilibrium level of savings and investment. In this level the rate of interest is R, the investment level is K. Here where S is the saving curve and I is the investment curve, both intersect at E, which is the full employment level. Where at over interest rate S is equal to I. If the interest rate rises to OR1, saving is more than investment by PA, which will lead to unemployment in the economy, since saving is greater than investment. The investment demand for capital being less than its supply, the interest rate investment will increase and saving will decline. Consequently, S is equal to I, equilibrium will be re-established at point E. On the contrary, with a fall in the interest rate from OR to OR2, investment will be more than savings, that is I is greater than S by CD. The demand for capital will be more than its supply. The interest rate will rise, saving will increase, and investment will decline. Ultimately, S is equal to I. Equilibrium will be restored at the full employment level. Money market equilibrium. The money market equilibrium is the classical theory is based on the quantity theory of money, which states that general price level. In the economy depends on the supply of money. The equation is MV is equal to PT, where M is equal to supply of money, V represents velocity of circulation of M, P represents price level, and T represents volume of transaction. The equation tells that the total money supply MV equals the total value of output PT in the economy. Assuming V and T to be constant, a change in the supply of money causes a proportional changes in price level. Thus, the price level is a function of the money supply, that is P is equal to the function of money supply. The relation between quantity of money, total output and price level is depicted in the figure. Here we have to take the explanation. Here x-axis represents price level and y-axis represents the total output. Here the total output is parallel to x-axis. Then money supply curve, it is shifted from MV to M1V. Here we have to see two more equilibriums. One is M, another one is M1. Here the same output, the price level will be increased from P to P1. When the money supply is more, the price level also increased from OP to OP1, where the price level is taken on the horizontal axis and the total output on the vertical axis. ME is the money supply curve, which is a rectangular hyperbola. This is because the equation ME is equal to PT. Hold on all points of this curve given the output level OQ. There would be only one price level OP consistent with the quantity of money as shown by point. If the quantity of money increases, the MV curve will shift to the right as M1V curve. As a result, the price level would rise from OP to OP1 given the same level of output OQ. This rise in the price level is exactly proportional to the rise in the quantity of money. When the full employment level of output remains OQ, Keynes' criticism of classical theory. Here we have to see the criticism given by Professor Keynes. First one is underemployment equilibrium. Keynes rejected the fundamental classical assumption of full employment equilibrium in the economy. Refutation of Say's law. Keynes refuted Say's law of market that supply always created its own demand. He maintained that all income earned by the factor owners would not be spent in buying products which they helped to produce. Self-adjustment not possible. Keynes didn't agree with the classical view that the laissez-faire policy was essential for an automatic and self-adjusting process of full employment equilibrium. He pointed out that the capitalist system was not automatic and self-adjusting because of the non-egalitarian structure of its society. Equality of saving and investment through income changes. The classicalists believed that savings and investment were equal at the full employment level, and in case of any divergence, the equality was brought about by the mechanism of rate of interest. Keynes held that the level of savings depended upon the level of income and not on the rate of interest. Importance of speculative demand for money. The classical economists believed that money was demanded for transactions and precautionary purposes. They didn't recognize the speculative demand for money because money held for speculative purpose related to ideal balances, but Keynes didn't agree with this view. He emphasized the importance of speculative demand for money. Of quantity theory of money. Keynes rejected the classical quantity theory of money on the ground that increase in money supply will not necessarily lead to rise in prices. It is not essential that people may spend all extra money. They may deposit it in the bank or save. So the velocity of circulation of money may slow down and not remain constant. Money not neutral. The classical economists regarded money as neutral. Therefore, they excluded the theory of output, employment and interest rate from monetary theory. According to them, the level of output and employment and the equilibrium rate of interest were determined by real forces. Keynes criticized the classical view that monetary theory was separated from value theory. Reputation of wage cut. Keynes refuted the Pigouvian formulation that a cut in money wage would achieve full employment in the economy. The greatest fallacy in Pigou's analysis was that he extended the argument to the economy, which was applicable to a particular industry. Reduction in wage rate can increase employment in an industry by reducing costs and increasing demand. But the adoption of such a policy for the economy leads to a reduction in employment. No direct and proportional relation between money and real wages. Keynes also didn't accept the classical view that there was a direct and proportionate relationship between money wages and real wages. According to him, there is an inverse relationship between the two. When money wages fall, real wage rise and vice versa. Therefore, a reduction in the money wage would not reduce the real wage. as the classicalists believed rather it would increase it. This is because the money wage cut will reduce cost of production and prices by more than the farmer. State intervention essential. Keynes didn't agree with Pigou that frictional maladjustments along accounts for failure to utilize fully our productive power. The capitalist system is such that left to itself it is incapable of using productive power fully. Therefore, state intervention is necessary. The equilibrium level so reached in one of underemployment rather than of full employment. Thus, the classical theory of employment is unrealistic and is incapable of solving the present day economic problems of the capitalist world. Now we move on the conclusion of this theory. Therefore, the classical theory is developed by all the classical economists, useful to the economy, maintain full employment, and based on laissez-faire policy and other assumptions like money is used only in medium of exchange, etc. Even though the theory is criticized by so many economists like Keynes. Thank you.